Hello, everyone. Good evening. This is Von Rushford Jr. And sorry for being a couple days late as far as the recap, as far as the review for the Monday night game. But I'm just going ahead and do it anyways. I think it's a little still pretty early. Just Wednesday anyway. But right now I'm going to switch things up. I'm going to do a recap and review of the Monday night game between the New Orleans defending Super Bowl champion New Orleans Saints and the San Francisco 49ers. And this game was definitely a great game. San Francisco, came out to really make a statement. On top of that, I meant to add, by the way, that during halftime, Jerry Rice finally had his jersey, his number retired, number 80. And of course, this past month, Rice was inducted into the Hall of Fame with Emmitt Smith. So, and I think that's perhaps the first time, as far as I know of, in history, where two people who were the all-time leaders in stats of their respective positions were inducted into the Hall of Fame together. Rice, the all-time leading receiver, and Emmitt Smith, the all-time leading rusher. And for them to be inducted together, I think that was tremendous. It was excellent. Two of my favorite players ever. But anyway, back to the game in general. As far as the game in general, I think San Francisco played a heck of a game. Alex Smith played his heart out. I think this is the best game he's ever had so far. At this point in his career. For him to step it up like that, against a defending champion, one of the NFL's elite teams right now. Like I say, the Super Bowl champion, obviously, and for him to play the way he did, he went 23 of 32 for 275 yards, a touchdown, in two picks. Whereas Breeze had 20 of 38 for 254, so he beat him by 21 yards as far as passing. Now, as far as running game, New Orleans did not stand a chance in the world. They didn't stand a single chance against San Francisco's running game. The Niners just ran down the throat. Frank Gore, who is one of the franchise players, a core player, probably the franchise player right now at this point for the 49ers, a core part of their upcoming success. Gore, played efficiently. He had 20 carries, 412 yards, and and a touchdown. Compared to New Orleans, compared to Thomas, who had 18 carries for only 46 yards. The type of stuff that anyway. Bush had only 5 carries for 4 yards. Ugh. So and Alex Smith had 4 carries for 28, and Dixon had 1 for 2. That whole thing. So, but the focal point was Frank Gore in the running game. As far as the passing game, Vernon Davis stepped up his game. He had 4 receptions for 78 yards. And so he had a couple fumbles here and there, something like that. And and Frank Gore. Oh yeah, by the way, he had 7 receptions, so he was the leader in catches as well. Just Frank Gore is just a beast. He just had an all-around game. 7 receptions for 56 yards and a touchdown, by the way. So that was definitely the one touchdown that Alex Smith threw, which was to Frank Gore, Mr. All Around. And Patrick Willis, he was the leading tackler, the middle linebacker had 8 tackles, and so he was definitely hitting out there, just knocking some heads down. And as far as the numbers, pretty much all across the board in the major numbers, the 49ers just totally outplayed the Saints. Just had that number, and I use this word number so many times, but anyway, total first downs. 49ers had 24. New Orleans Saints had 17. And the Niners had, and 10 of those 24 and 10 of those 24 first downs were by rushing, whereas New Orleans only had 1 first down for rushing. And now the only advantage that the Saints had in first downs over the Niners was by passing. Saints only had 14 to the Niners 12. as far as third down efficiency is concerned, the 49ers even had the Saints number net. San Francisco had had five. They converted 5 out of 9 third down attempts for 55%. Where as far as the 49ers, as far as the Saints had 6. Was 6 out of 14. The Saints were 6 out of 14 for 42%. Like I said, I'll repeat it again. The Niners were 5 of 9. As far as third down conversions for 55%. The Saints 6 of 14 for 42%. So even they were more accurate on third down. Total net yards, I guess combined yards, from passing and running. Total net yards, the 49ers had 417 to the Saints 287. As far as net yards rushing, 142 for the 49ers, while the Saints only had 50. Give me a break. Are you serious? Only 50 yards is all you could get. Obviously, Breeze did so much passing, but still, at least spread the ball around a little bit more, do some more, be more versatile. Out of those 142, Frank Gore had 112 out of those 142. So in other words, Gore had more rushing yards by himself than the New Orleans Saints had combined as a team. So like I said, the Niners just totally ran down the Saints' throat as far as the rushing. 142. Total rushing yards, that's including Alex Smith's little yards that he had. 142 to the Saints 50. Are you serious? So and of course the Saints, the 49ers had 26 total rushing plays. So the Saints 24. Anyway, total net yards passing 275. From Alex Smith, never got sacked, lost any yards. 237 net yards passing for the Saints, because even though Breeze had 254 total passing yards, he was sacked 2 times for a loss of 17 yards. So that's why they got knocked off. So the Niners had a better average gain per pass and play with 8.6 to the Saints 5.9. And so so in other words, basically, just pretty much all throughout the line, really, the 49ers, just like I said, had the Saints number. They had to beat red zone efficiency 3 or 4 for 75 yards. As far as the New Orleans Saints, 2 or 4 for 50. 3 out of, not for 75 yards, but 3 out of 4 for 75%. The 49ers had to beat red zone efficiency 3 out of 4 for 75%. Saints, 2 or 4 for 50%. And so as far as their efficiency, their goal-to-goal efficiency 2 or 2, that whole thing. But anyway, at least the Saints only had one safety. But the thing that really killed San Francisco in this game, both of them had 5 penalties. New Orleans lost more, but the big thing that killed San Francisco in this game was the fumbles. 4 fumbles to New Orleans 1. And not only do they have 4 fumbles, 2 of them, 2 of them were for a loss. Not only they had 4 fumbles, but 2 of them, were for turnovers anyway. And so, so like I say, that was the key thing that that really shot. I believe, as far as looking at these stats concerned, that's the key thing that really shot the 49ers in the foot, were the fumbles. Just foolish mistakes like that. That is something that can demoralize anybody. But aside from that, the Niners gave the Saints a run for their money. They had New Orleans on their heels. Had them on their heels, and if it had not been for for some stupid penalties, and especially at the end of the game when New Orleans was kicking the football, and like one of San Francisco's defensive linemen jumped too early. If it had not been for that, it would have gone to overtime. Niners could have closed them out. So that would have been the ice on the cake. Along with Jerry Rice getting his number retired. But as far as San Francisco, they definitely have a pretty special place. I guess if you will, in my heart. Because of guys like Jerry Rice, because of guys like Montana, and Steve Young, guys like that, and the fact that San Francisco went to 5 Super Bowls won all 5, and they just went undefeated. 5-time Super Bowl champions, never lost. Never lost a single Super Bowl game. And just for their efficiency, their consistency, and I'm really looking forward to seeing San Francisco. Looking forward to see his 49ers do well and get back on top and reclaim their rightful place. Reclaim their throne as the NFC West Division champion. So look out, the Gold Rush shall be back very soon.